in front of me were these enormous marble thrones. They looked from a completely different civilization with these beings sitting on there. They had blue skin, humanoid faces and torsos and fish-like tails while sitting on these marble thrones.
Hello and welcome to the Happy Insights podcast. I'm really excited today. We're going to have another NDE story, near-death experience story. Today's guest is Nicole Meeuws, a multidimensional artist and visionary whose work bridges the spiritual and physical worlds. After a near-death experience in 2015, she returned with a heightened sensitivity to energy, color, and vibration. She's expressing these gifts through abstract paintings, soul frequency portraits, and intuitive writings. Now based in Greece, Nicole continues to create as a form of healing and transformation, inviting others to awaken their own sacred creative power. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here.
I'm so
Lovely.
excited to have you. I just love looking at you. You're so beautiful. And your aesthetics, your
And
coloring.
I've got a lovely painting behind me as well. So it's always nice to have art around you. It just makes the home feel much more warm, doesn't it, when you have art around you?
Yes, and I'm an artist myself, but I
Oh,
channeled it in other stuff. So I have some art, but I need to make more. And eventually there will be more.
you
This is my
will.
set. So this is a set. This is my
Love
stuff, but
it.
it's not even
Love it. I
this is
love that stone sand lamp there in the corner. I
that
think
thing.
those
Yeah, yeah.
sand lamps are so wonderful. That needs to be switched on so it retains the energy, you know? It really brings out this wonderful healing energy with the
It's
salt involved in the air.
yes, but I think I lost a little light in it, and then I need to poke a hole in that thing. So it's gonna be just there for a minute. So, welcome to the
Okay.
show. So, I don't know anything
Thank
about
you.
you.
Even more exciting.
It is really exciting. So, we're going to first jump into your NDE experience and what led up to that. And then I want to learn more about you and just find out about other maybe weird supernatural stuff that's ever happened or your superpowers. So, let's begin. So, what led to your NDE story or what happened?
So my NDE story is a little bit different. I mean, I think everybody's NDE story is quite different and unusual. It was 2015 and I was 4 months pregnant. I knew there was something not quite right with me. And my husband's a doctor, so he said, listen, you're not feeling well. I think we need to have a scan. And that very same day, I had a scan and they found out that the baby had died inside of me.
Oh,
And it was very devastating and sad, of course, but we needed to have an operation as quickly as possible because the doctors told me that if I wouldn't have removed the dead baby, I would die. And so I went into the operating room and I lay on the bed. And a lot of different emotions, went through me. I was 39 at the time, and I wasn't young anymore to have a child. I wasn't necessarily very old either, but you don't, personally for me, I didn't want to have children after that. So I just kind of was really upset and angry and anxious. And the doctors, they gave me the anesthesia as I lay there. They all peered around me, and I just lay there feeling very sad. And suddenly, as they gave me the anesthesia, the machine spiked. My blood pressure went up, my heart rate went up, and the doctors started getting really frantic. And in that moment, seeing the doctors frantic, I'm supposed to chill out. I'm about to have an operation. I immediately get anxious. And in that moment, when I'm lying there getting anxious, I get sucked out of my body. I
wow.
get sucked out of my body into this brilliant blue-white light. And as I was traveling through this brilliant blue white light, I remember thinking, this feels so familiar. I've been here before. I know this place. And as I was traveling full speed through this blue white light dimension, I ended up into this luminous, brilliant white room. And of course, in front of me were these enormous marble thrones, 50 meters high, like I can't even say ancient Greece because they didn't look ancient Greek. They looked from a completely different civilization. Incredible marble white thrones with these beings sitting on there. And these beings, as I looked at them, I immediately knew this is my tribe. This is my soul tribe. And I remember saying, I'm going to memorize absolutely everything, what they look like. And I did. They had feathered hair. Every single follicle was this incredible head of hair, very long and thick. Every single feather was a different shade of blue and purple and white and indigo. So it was all these colors. They had blue skin, baby blue soft skin, like soft blue, like the sky, humanoid faces and torsos and fish-like tails while sitting on these marble thrones. Their noses were almost like a lion-esque type nose with whiskers coming out. And to me, it seemed pretty normal to look at them. I just understood immediately who they were, and they telepathically looked at me. And as I looked into their eyes, they had these incredible indigo colored eyes. They said to me I wasn't supposed to have children in this life. And at the same time, I thought, maybe that's why I've had this fear of having children. Maybe that's why all my life I've not been 100% sure I've wanted children. Not because I didn't love children, because I adore children, but because something within me felt that it wasn't the right thing to do. Yet I became pregnant because I loved my husband and I wanted to have our child. And they said, you needn't worry, you're not going to have this baby. You need to let go of this. You need to make peace, get rid of your shame, guilt, sadness. And while they told me this, I let go of all that fear, all that negativity, all that trauma. It just disappeared and dispersed. And as they looked at me, they started showing me a very fast forward reel of events. Yeah. It was like watching a movie on fast forward where you're seeing an event, but you can't quite see it because the next one's already in vision, and the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. So I'm trying to understand all these things that are happening very, very fast. And then as I start understanding a concept, I get sucked back into my body on the not on the operating table, on the bed. I wake up next to this Austrian Viennese nurse. I'm holding on her hand. I'm telling her, my God, do you know where I've just been? Wow. And she shakes off my hand. I look at her and she's horrible, like her energy. Suddenly I realize I'm back in this earthly realm. And her energy is like, let go of my hand type of energy, And I could just feel that I was in this heavy realm with really heavy, dark, deep emotions that aren't very pleasant. But luckily, my husband was right next to me. And I immediately started telling him where I was because she wasn't interested. So I was talking to him for at least 10 minutes. But what I later understood and what he told me was that I wasn't speaking English. I was speaking in frequencies and high-pitched sounds with dolphin and whale-like sounds. And of course, it sounds ridiculous. Nobody's going to believe you. But thank God my husband witnessed it. And he's a doctor, he was there, right there. And this language went on for at least 10 minutes until he had to kind of, tell me, listen, everything's fine. You're here. Don't worry. I understand. Luckily, he's had experiences with NDEs, not just himself, but also he's seen patients that have witnessed that and experienced that. So he kind of understood, that I had just suddenly been somewhere very, very different. And so, yeah, so that was my incredible NDE experience where I spoke this ancient language. I don't like calling it light language. I don't like calling it anything because as soon as you call it light language, it's in a box. I don't like boxes. Boxes for me don't exist. I like to be original. I like to be me, authentic. So whatever that is, to me, it was an ancient language. That's what it felt like. It was an ancient, eternal language that we all speak when we're in this realm. And all of us can speak it. We just forget speaking it once we come to this world where we're programmed into different languages, into different countries, into different cultures. And we forget the true language that we all speak there.
I have so many questions. So First of all, that was amazing. I want to know, prior to your experience, what was your level of spirituality? Or, I look at you now and I see someone who is potentially into New Age spirituality-ish, probably. We talked about astrology. Oh,
No,
you're
yeah,
not into that.
no, I wouldn't call myself a New Ager at all. No, not at all. Not, especially not after my NDE, even though it's going to feel very strange to Christians who will hear this. Um, Before that, this experience, I have had supernatural experiences all my life. I'm not saying every year, but especially when I was very young, and then in my early 30s, also it started happening, and then my NDE. So I
So,
have experienced quite a
so
few.
what, can you give us a couple of examples? Maybe when you were
Yeah,
young, the
so
most.
yeah, so it started when I was three. I used to call them the two blue boys, and they were small blue beings, blue-skinned beings, and they would come and get me in my bedroom every night, and we would go out of the window down the road into the neighbor's garden. I lived in a big house, and the people that lived in my area also had big houses and a lot of land around. So it was a lot of land, and we lived very rural. So I was sucked out of that window. I went to my neighbor's house and my neighbor's garden. At the bottom of the garden, they had a huge forest area. And there the two blue boys would take me to an area full of lights. It was like almost like I interpreted it as kind of a fairground, a fun fairground type of a place. But in hindsight, I just remember lots of colors and lots of lights. And there in front of me was a dragon, a funny, cute dragon that would make fun, and he would make me feel at ease because he would joke with me in a childish way, and I lost all my fear. And this would happen almost every single night between the ages of 3 and 6. So I was always super excited to go to sleep at night when I had these experiences. I wonder, in hindsight, that maybe they came to kind of adjust me into this realm here, because some of us come here and we're not quite adjusted in this heavily programmed earthly realm. And some of us, when we're very young, immediately get depressed and sad because we still have that strong connection to the etheric realms. And it's difficult for us to calibrate that into this earthly realm.
What about when you were, I have my opinions and I'm about to give it to you, but I want to hear about the
Yes,
when you're older in your 30s. What was,
yes.
give me something, some experiences you had then.
Yes, in my 30s, I was attracted to a very good-looking man who called himself Tarzan. And we lived on a rural farm, very toxic, masculine type of a man. And he would go off to work, and I'd be left for days, sometimes weeks, all alone on this rural farm. I think the closest village was 8 hours away. I lived in rural Africa, so we really had monkeys and pythons and cobras, and it was wild out there outside my little old farmhouse. And when he would leave me alone, I would often go out, and sit on the lawn or sit on my what's it called, porch, and just to look out at nature. And I remember one night specifically where I was sitting out on the porch, and about 10 or 15 meters just ahead of me were two brilliant green orbs, as big as this, one like this and one slightly smaller, just casually floating along, just. And I looked at that and I remember being extremely excited and smiling, because these kind of things, they don't put fear into me. It's more like I start to understand what this realm is, that everything's possible here if we understand how it works. So that was one thing. And then on the farm, I suddenly hear this opera singing, this woman singing opera. And I don't have any radio on or anything. I have no neighbors. I'm totally rural. And I go into the house and I look at the wall, and inside the wall, this woman is singing, and she only sings for a couple of seconds. So I hear it outside. I come in, I'm still hearing her sing a couple of seconds, and then it's gone. And
Wow.
I'm like, what is this? What is this? This is crazy. So that was another experience. Then another experience in South Africa. Finally, when I ran away from this Tarzan, with my life, literally, I ended up moving into this wonderful elderly lady's house called Marjorie. Marjorie was, I'll never forget her. She was a lady in her late 70s, early 80s, and she would meditate every morning for 3 hours. She was like, I think she only survived off rice. That was the only thing she ate. And she loved her garden and her flowers. She was so beautiful, Marjorie. And she welcomed me and she said, listen, you can stay a few days in my attic, but I must warn you, it's haunted. And I laughed it off, as we do. And I just said, okay, I'll stay there. I was just happy and thankful that I had a place to stay, that I could stay away and be safe for a few days. And I remember I fell asleep that night, not thinking about anything else. And in the morning, I woke up around 3, 4 o'clock, very early in the morning, to the most incredible room filled with the scent of roses. And this was in the midst of winter. The entire room. I'm still looking for that perfume today. I haven't found it. There's nothing that comes close to it. It was just incredible, like 1,000 roses, and the smell of roses were all around me. And I found, while I could smell that, I could sense, I couldn't see them, I could sense beings over me, healing my body. I think I must have spent years and years and years living in a very toxic relationship, and it had really affected my health over the years. And I think these beings were possibly healing my body. So that was my supernatural experience in my 30s. And then the NDE happened in 2015.
That's amazing. Are you familiar with the term starseed and starseeds? Do you know what they are?
Yes, but I think I see them as I see it as an interdimensional race. I don't see, look, for me, because I died, I entered through my body into this watery world. And you know that even in Gnostic texts, it says we live under a firmament and we have water above us and water all around us. We're like a bubble floating in water. And in hindsight, I think that whatever is around us is water, is the consciousness of God, of source of universal love. And this water is an interdimensional portal where we go to as souls. And I think we all have frequency, an individual frequency. And some of us have a particular geometrical shaped frequency that go there. Some of us have a different geometrical frequency that go there. Even though we're all interconnected, we're totally all interconnected, but we have, I think, different kind of places we go to regarding who we are and who we've always been.
Well, I agree with you 100%. The reason I asked about the star seeds is because there is I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dolores Cannon's work or the
Mm-hmm.
other, with so many other people. There's Matthias de Stefano who remembers his past lives on other planets,
Yes.
and he's so, I mean, he remembers so vividly. But part of in the Sirius star system, there's a planet that's the beings there are blue, and one of them is a watery planet that has a lot of water-like creatures. And so when you were talking about the water
Oh,
and the blue and then the fins, it immediately
yes.
took me to Sirius, one of the planets in the Sirius. I think the Sirius B, where the planet is watery and blue. They're definitely blue, and having that blue child children, and then having all that, and then a lot of times star seeds, people who are from higher frequency advanced civilizations, they're known, they were said to come to this planet to elevate the frequency of the planet because the world's, we're not necessarily doing a good job at taking care of our planet. And so there's certain people that come, and a lot of times the star seeds that come, there's the first time on the planet, they have a really hard time on this planet, and they have guides
Hmm.
from their original
Oh,
species
interesting.
that come and start helping them in the beginning because the world feels extra heavy to them. And
Yeah.
so this the blue race. There's the Arcturians and the Syrians that are blue, but the Syrians have the watery planets and the fins and the dolphins and all of that stuff. So it was very, to me, that was like you were describing somebody else, as if somebody else was describing Sirius B, or I think it's Sirius B. It's the watery
It's
planet.
interesting. It's interesting you say that because since I was a child, I would always look out the window to Sirius.
So me too.
I was obsessed. I was obsessed with Sirius.
Same.
I would gaze out the window. I'd smoke my little cigarette when I was 14. I would stump it out so my mum wouldn't smell it, have the menthol chewing gum, and look at Sirius.
I used to talk
That's
to
what I used to
Sirius, pray
do.
to Sirius, and then when I was told I was going to have a child, the very first time, they told me his name was Cyrus. So,
Oh,
and I didn't name him Cyrus because I didn't like the name Cyrus. And then I named him Sky of all things, which is related to the sky. And then later, when I had my twins, I had to name him Cyrus, but with an S because of sky. So now his name looks like it's Sirius. So it's, and he's
oh,
very empathetic.
beautiful.
So no, I just felt like, I was like, God, she sounds like she would be someone you sound like, because most people when they have their NDEs, they see white beings and they go through these dark tunnels, and there's so many things, but you saw blue distinct
Yes,
humanoid
yes,
beings, and it's not
yes.
like you had any connection to that in your awake
No,
life.
nothing at all. That's the weird thing, you know. So many people end up seeing, Christ as a person there. And I was hoping maybe to see somebody like that. It wasn't something I asked for, you know. And then suddenly to experience this, I realized that, a lot of people tell me in hindsight that, maybe you saw demons.
I don't think
Demons cannot give love. They cannot transmute their frequency into love. Yeah, love is a very, very, it's the highest frequency there is. So this being, they were immediately, I mean, I can't even explain how much love there was. It's not from this earthly realm, the love that we feel here. It's far superior. So they, that feeling of feeling completely at peace and in love, it was, it was such an incredible feeling of coming home. It's like it's like coming home to a little cottage by a river and realizing that you've always lived there. It's out of the storybooks, out of the fairy tales. You've always lived there. You just came here into this realm for quite a fun kind of a holiday. It's over. You've had enough. You're packing your bag, and damn it, I'm going home.
going home. Well, that's the pretty much the only thing you have in common with most NDEs, is that the warmth, the love, the unconditional love, and going home, and then also seeing your tribe,
Yes.
seeing your
Yeah,
tribe.
seeing I must say, I've always felt, especially when I used to dance in Africa, I used to go to these, I mean, I don't like that kind of stuff anymore, but I used to go to these kind of trance events. And in Africa, they're really amazing because, you're out in the middle of a forest. You've got no shoes on. You're completely connecting with this wild nature in Africa. You're full of mud and you dance through the night. And there you can really connect to the earth. And I'm not talking about taking drugs. I'm talking about really using the etheric energy from the sky and the earth and putting it through your body. And I remember dancing once in my early 30s there and feeling like as if I come from this tribe. It's like a knowing, like I feel like I'm from a tribe, from an ancient tribe, but I don't know where it's from. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's not a tribe that I could say is from this earth. And the interesting thing is, after my NDE, I started painting really for the first time in my life. I
Wow.
was never really interested in painting. I was quite superficial, to be honest, before, in the sense of, vanity and probably a bit like, your experiences being a makeup artist and everything is very kind of, perfect. And I was also into that. I was into fashion and I was a personal shopper in England and all of that stuff. And, after you have a near-death experience, all of that is quite an embarrassment, really. It's not interesting anymore. It's part of my life, but it no longer serves me. And I let that go. And I started really working with my hands. I realized that we're all here to use our hands in whichever way we want, whether it's writing or painting or creating or knitting or sewing or makeup. I don't know, makeup is still an artistry.
It is for sure an artistry. Yeah.
You can do, yeah, you can do it in all kinds of forms. So for me, finally painting was a way of healing myself after the trauma of the NDE because I no longer fitted in. Not even worse did I fit in because I hadn't seen Christ. I had seen these fish-like beings. And so of course I went online and started researching. And I found out the most incredible things. I found out about the Dogon tribe that were visited by half dolphin type of beings. They gave them superior knowledge about star systems and Sirius B. I found out about the Sumerians, that they were, half fish-like beings. I found out that the Pope wears a hat, which is shaped like a fish. There's some ancient connection there that we're unaware of, but it runs so deep within our DNA that all of this is awakening now due to the electromagnetic energy that's coming from the sun. And so what the sun is doing to the entire realm is that it's waking us all up. And so of course we know why they're trying to dim the sun, because they don't want us to wake up. It's obvious. And that's why I really would say to everybody, if you can take your shoes off as much as you can, and this is not some hippie saying or some new age saying, it really is ancient knowledge. It's why the tribes walk around barefoot. They have the etheric energy from the earth coming through their feet, and it heals the body, connecting through to the sky. And we need to connect with the trees, with the nature, with the oceans, with the rivers, with the water. We need to go back into nature to connect. If we want to start to get information, we need to get out of the city. We need to switch off our TVs. We need to watch your channel, but switch it off afterwards and go out and really start listening, start feeling and start listening. That's what we need to do. And I'm telling you, all these things like fillers and Botox, I don't use any of that. I'm totally
Guilty,
against that.
guilty, guilty.
Well, I'm 49. I don't use any of that. And I refuse to use any of that because it almost killed me. I had breast implants in 2012. And by 2020, they almost killed me. So after that experience, I knew it was so obvious. God was telling me, love your body as it is naturally, because all these things, they are affecting your psychism, whether they're fillers, Botox, silicone things, all of this is actually polluting your vessel. We need to stay very clean. Okay. That
If you
just
want to
means
connect.
eating.
If you want to
Yes.
connect and be
Look,
more connected to the ethereal realms, which is
yes,
where the future
yes.
is.
Look, it's going to help. Some people are smoking like crazy. I have a friend, he's a psychic and he smokes like crazy. And I said, how are you doing it? He said, I don't know. But, I suppose it's who you are inside. It's your makeup, it's your DNA, it's all of that. So, but
It's
I
a
do,
lot.
I do believe that you need to go into nature. You need to let go of all that crap. It doesn't serve you, really.
I do automatic writing and I receive information and sometimes I verbally channel. But I did last
Mm.
time I said, I need to take it to the next step. And it was like, get the heck out of the city. You need to go alone.
See?
Don't go with anyone. Into nature. If you want to connect deeper, that's the only way you can, um, have a accelerated growth in terms of your connection to above. I mean, I wrote the Intuition Bible, and by the way, this episode is brought to you by the Intuition Bible. Go buy it. But I wrote the Intuition Bible, which is how to tap into your inner wisdom. But
Yeah.
mine is, everyone, you have your range of your frequency that you have access to. And I think nature is the only way to broaden it over and over and over and over, because especially if you live in a city, I live in a very chaotic city. I live in Los Angeles.
We were
Y-
never
y-
supposed to live in cities. We were never supposed to
of
live in
course.
cities. We were
Yeah.
supposed to live in small communities by water. And actually, I see you very shortly or soon going to a beautiful area of water. It almost looks like a waterfall into a large vessel of water. And I think that's going to be very important for you to go there.
Yeah,
And especially as a Pisces.
I just booked that vacation, by the way, and it's literally the hotel is surrounded by water. Um yeah.
You really? Well, there
Yeah,
you
it is.
go. Yeah, I can see you floating in there, and I think I can see something's going to happen there. to you in a good way. Something is going to happen. So just be aware of that. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. I love having sometimes personal insight come as well. Um, you're such an amazing guest. I could talk to you forever and ever. And I love that you were different than my other guests. You're very refreshing. You had a different approach to everything, and you didn't have the cookie cutter stories that everyone, because now everyone's following certain people and they all have the same
Look,
stories,
so
and you don't.
yeah, yes, so many people are following the parroted new age stuff, and they hear this and then they say, "Oh, that's me." But I think you really need to experience your own experiences first to really be able to speak about what the truth is. If you've had that experience, and you can speak about it as well. After my experience, my NDE experience, I started going into the ocean and downloading information. I started realizing that all this information is in water,
It is.
and you can actually bring it into yourself. And I wrote a book called Downloads, Terra Infinita Downloads from the Ether, where I downloaded very interesting information about our times now, going right up to 2040, 2050. And what's interesting is in 2021, I wrote a story about these geometric shapes that are going to enter our reality and that we will be able to see them. I thought nothing of it, wrote the story. 2, 3 months ago, I see a TikTok video of people that are seeing geometrical plasma in geometric shapes coming into this realm and seeing them like
Yeah.
floating around. It's exactly what I wrote in my book. So that's quite incredible. So we need to trust also the information we get, as long as it comes from the heart and not from the ego. That's really important because, sometimes our ego, we can't differentiate, but it's very important. And
Well,
also after my ND, of course, I started painting. So, soul frequency paintings as well.
what's a soul frequency painting before we wrap up? Because we don't have too much time left, and
Okay.
I'm so sad about it because I want to go on forever and ever. What is a soul frequency painting?
A soul frequency painting is literally I tune into your soul and I get information, colors, and symbolism that I paint down on a piece, and I also write the meanings behind the paintings. And these soul frequency paintings came to me after my NDE. I started to be much more psychic than I've ever been. I knew things about people I couldn't possibly know, and I could see colors much more vividly. So all of that I decided to put into my art. Why not? Put it into my art and create these beautiful pieces for people.
That's amazing. I have a couple of questions. One is, where are you originally from?
So I was born in Oxford. My mother is from Germany. My father's from Holland. I never felt European. I always felt African. That sounds ridiculous, but I felt really at home in Africa.
In
Yeah.
South, were you in South Africa?
Yeah, I was
Or
in South Africa, but I lived also with a tribe called Xhosa people, and they're wonderful people. They live near the Transkei. And they all live in circular houses because they're so smart. They know that square houses actually deplete your energy life force. And when you live more in a curved round shape, you are vitalizing every single part of your being.
my son's mother, biological mother, my egg donor, she's from South Africa. So my sons are half South African, but they're white, so they're from, somewhere in Europe. That's their lineage is there, but they're South African. So I always tell them
Wonderful.
they have like little bits of the whole world. They had a Mexican surrogate. They had all sorts of Persian dad, American nationality.
Oh,
We're
lovely.
American. We're like all over the place. Um,
Yes.
let me see if there's anything else I want to ask you because I honestly like I wish you lived in LA and we would go for coffee or tea or whatever it is that you
Would be
do.
nice.
But yeah, it would be very
Yes.
nice.
Maybe I come over one day.
If you come over, you're always welcome to be in my house. Come over. I mean, I have an open door policy, so people just
Oh, lovely.
come on in. And I thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up? And you don't have
Yes, there
to.
is. Oh, well, I will, because because this is such a powerful and important message for the viewers. I want viewers to remember that we all hold this inner power within ourselves, and we need to remember who we are right now, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, we need to remember who we truly are. We came here to create heaven on earth. That's why we're here. We are implementing the highest form of universal love, heaven on earth, and we need to remember that right now and just keep on following the truth. Keep on being your most authentic self. Get rid of the superficiality. It's not going to serve you anymore. And just stay in the heart and keep it open. God bless. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And where can people find you if they want soul frequency paintings or do anything? What do you offer? Where or do you have a website or
I do,
what
yes.
is can you
They, yeah, they can reach me on NicoleMeeuws.com. We can put it, I can put it, or you can
it
put it
will be
somewhere
all
down.
in the it'll be in
Lovely.
the and
Yes, they
Muse is
can put it.
Meeuws.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
but it will be in the description below. But I know some people listen to to this stuff in their car, or I just want them to know how to find
Okay.
you. Go do. I love your energy. Thank you so much. I really believe you are an alien. No, no, I'm just kidding. No, your description just sounds like you're a starseed, someone who's come from other realms, other planetary systems. That's what my
We
first
all
instinct
do.
is.
We all do. We all come from different realms. It's just about remembering who we are and
Of course.
implementing that love back in this realm. That's
Well,
all it
you're
is.
my very first blue affiliated being that no, actually I do have a woman who channels blue beings, but you're the only one that has encountered them. So thank you so much for bringing a fresh perspective to this show. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again and
It'd be lovely.
we could always do another show depending on a topic that we come up with. And your husband had an
Okay.
NDE as well. So I would
Yes.
love to have him on the show if he's willing to come on the show and any time of, day. I don't care. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, whatever it is. If you can ask him for me, that would be awesome.
I will. Yes, I will.
And if he's willing, I
Absolutely.
would love to have it. It'll be short, brief, 45 minutes. We need to broaden and expand the consciousness of the world. And I hope I see that we're both doing that right now. So thank you so much.
Yes. There's
Uh,
many of us. Thank you.
please make sure to subscribe and like and follow and do all that stuff you're supposed to do. And if you're not doing it, please do. So have a beautiful day. Bye bye.